Hey there, welcome back to the Well Oiled Operations podcast. So, today I'm interviewing my friend Kelsey Murphy. So, Kelsey has a really impressive background. She was a career and business coach for Fortune 500 companies, people like Facebook, Twitter, entrepreneurs like Kelly Levesque, who is Jessica Alba's nutritionist. She's where I've talked about like her smoothies, body love, and all of that. I'm a huge fan. So she's just worked with some incredible people. And she's also the host of the Whiskey and Work podcast. I think I was on an episode in there maybe in September. So you can go check out our podcast and hear the episode where we chatted. But we're going to be really diving into a bunch of different things. What I love is Kelsey just got back from maternity leave. So in fact, when she interviewed me, she was just about to have baby and leave for maternity leave. And now she's back. And I wanted to ask her, what is it like for an entrepreneur? What did it look like for her? What were things she had to do ahead of time? What did she have to jump in and do? And we get into a really good conversation that honestly, I don't know we've ever had before on this episode or on the podcast. So I'm so excited to introduce you to Kelsey Murphy. Enjoy today's episode. Hi, Kelsey. Welcome to Well Oiled Operations.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so pumped to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to catch up. I know we chatted right before you were about to have baby number 3. Now she's here. So we'll get into that a little bit. But before we do, I would love for you to kind of give a little bit of your background, your entrepreneurial journey, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to catch up too. And boy, has life changed
Yes.
with having 3 little girls now. But I work predominantly with coaches, with women. I help them transition into being an exceptional coach that can get their clients results. And then when they're ready, I help them create a super sustainable business doing that. And I kind of go at it a little bit backwards because I am, as we just talked about, a mom with 3 little girls and really believe in building a minimalist, very simple business that can be as lucrative as possible, but something that really works within your kind of time constraints of being either a very busy mom or just a very busy human who wants to travel and have some freedom. I'm a big believer that there's a lot of shiny objects right now, a lot of pressure with social media and all these things and all these different systems and ways people are telling you to go out there and to shout to the world and build a business. And I believe there's really simple, beautiful, meaningful, quiet ways that we can build these very financially rewarding businesses. And so I work with a lot of heart-centered kind of coaches, right, that are wonderful at coaching and having those communicative conversations, but may need a little bit of oomph or help in building that business, right? Putting a little structure to it. So they're not just kind of like scraping by or just feeling like they're in the wild, wild west of coaching. There's some systems to it, right? Like they've got, because I really believe everyone's like, you can do it. You can be a coach. Like there's all this rah-rah around it. There's not a lot of people telling you how to do it. Like, okay, yes, you can do it, but here's how you have to build it. Here's how you want to be a coach that is separated from all of the other coaches that are just going out there and throwing spaghetti against the wall. Here's how to build a practice where you're getting your clients measurable results and it feels really concrete. You feel really proud to say it when you're at a bar or you're at Thanksgiving and you're not just like, I'm a life coach and you're feeling awkward and like you're not really sure what you're doing. I'm kind of giving people the confidence with the systems and the structure around that. And I basically built that because that's what I didn't have, right? My background is in the advertising world and I was the director for Nintendo and Elizabeth Arden up in San Francisco. And I like loved it, felt very proud of my job. It was very clear what I did when I went to Thanksgiving and to bars and stuff. I was like, I'm the director of this fancy client, right? And then all of a sudden I went to like the next year of being like, throwing caution to the wind and quitting my job. And like, I fell in love with coaching. And then all of a sudden I was like at the bar being like, I'm a life coach. And I didn't have the confidence or the structure to be like, hey, I'm a life coach that works with these women and I help them get this result or these transformations. And I love it. I'm confident, here's my website. And like, if you know anyone, let's chat, right? Like
Yeah.
I didn't have that and no one taught me how to do that,
Well, and
So
let me ask you, because I do believe that confidence is what sells it, right? When you're more confident, the person you're talking to, they're like, tell me more. Whereas when you seem like you're not proud or you're not confident, I think you're kind of putting out your true colors and people are probably not as interested. So how did you go? How did you get more confident? What did you do to build that, coming from where you were to then maybe feeling like life coach wasn't the greatest title compared to what you used to have?
right. Yeah. Life coach felt like this really flimsy, like non-believable title. Well, I think two things. I think one, I focused more on passion and excitement
Mm,
when versus confidence, right? Like versus being like, I'm confident, I can do all of these amazing things and I'm the best life coach in the world. It was more, I shifted to this place of like, I'm so excited. I'm so
mm,
pumped. I'm just starting this business and I'm over the moon about it, right? And when you lean into that passion and excitement, you kind of can take that imposter syndrome away. You're not trying to fake it to make it and be like, I'm
yeah.
the best of the best, because you're still learning. It's your one or
Mhm.
two, right? Like, but if you show up with that excitement and that passion, like that's super contagious for
Yeah.
people, right? Like, so you kind of have to get out of your own head and that ego place of being like,
Mhm.
I need to show up with all these credentials and just show up with excitement and people are
Yeah.
going to want to know more, right?
Mhm.
And then the other thing that I did that I realized I really needed, and this is something I teach a lot of my students to do, is understand what are the transformations or results you actually get people. And when you become a life coach or you become a health coach or a business coach or anything, they're
Mhm.
really focusing on your craft of being a great coach, right? So they're teaching you how to get the results. They're teaching you how to have great conversations, how to hold the space, how to ask really beautiful, in-depth questions that get to the root of things, but they're not teaching you then how to go talk about it at a bar or a book club,
Right.
right? Like they're not teaching you how to then go talk about the results you get people and like quantify them, right?
Mhm.
So for me, when I talk to people or I teach my clients about like kind of marketing themselves, I'm like, it's really just about understanding what are the results and transformations you get for people. You're getting them in every conversation,
Right.
whether it's sitting down having coffee with a friend. And when they first came to
Mm.
you in that conversation, they felt scattered and all over the place and they didn't know where they were going to focus or they didn't know the next step they were going to take. And by the end of that conversation, they felt confident, they felt
Yeah.
empowered, they felt focused, they felt clear, they knew their action plan. Like, then, like, those are the quantifiable results I want you to start documenting and writing down so that when
Mm.
you go and you tell people what you do, you know now, like, you've trained yourself to remember, oh, these are the results I get people. These are the
Yeah.
transformations I get people. And sometimes it's literally the step of just identifying these are the results I want to get people, and I'm going to write those down. Or these are the results I do get people, like when I
Mhm.
talk to them, friends, family, pro bono clients, first time clients, right? Just identifying that, writing it down, and then working that into the conversation, I
Yeah.
feel like kind of substantiates and gives you a little bit more foundation to stand on if you're in this kind of like soft skill coaching world of like life coaching or wellness
Yeah.
coaching. You kind of want that to give you a little more confidence.
Yeah. I love that. Well, and you have to just get started and really take those actions. And the more you, like I love that you said in the beginning, I'm really here to get them results and to show them how to do it. Because most people just think, oh, I have to market. I have to get really good at marketing and selling. And that'll help you sell, but it will not help you actually keep clients. And we know like that is half the battle right there. So I love that you're focusing on that angle for sure. Something you had said was, kind of like figuring out the shiny object and what are you saying yes to? Now with baby number 3, like, is there anything that has changed a little bit for you of like your boundaries or yeses versus nos? Or do you feel like it hasn't changed that much yet?
Oh, that's such a good question. I do feel like with every baby, I get more focused and
Mhm.
more clear. And I
Yeah.
think I remember people telling me this. I was like, how do you run a business and have children like that? Like,
Mhm.
I don't even know how that's possible. And people are like, you'll be shocked at how focused you get because you
Yeah.
only have this finite amount of time, right? Like,
Mhm.
I don't work on Fridays. I am volunteering in the class once a week. I'm on
Yeah.
every field trip, right? Like I pick my kids up at 1 every day. So it's like I shut down and I'm not working nights and I'm not working weekends unless I'm like super excited about it and I'm going out
Yeah.
with a girlfriend for wine and being like, we're going to brainstorm on Tuesday night
Right.
over wine, right? Like, which is like my nerdy thing that I love to do, right? Like, but
Mhm.
besides that, like I have these small windows of time where I can do my work. And so
Mhm.
with every baby, I have become more and more focused. And I'd like to say that that's like, a new way of running my business, but I bet it's just the smart way of running your business. I
Right.
bet just as a seasoned entrepreneur, that probably naturally happens. Like
Mhm.
I'm very grateful that I have kids and it's forced it to happen for me quickly. But I think as a seasoned entrepreneur, you start to realize I'm not just going to throw out random opt-ins. I'm
Yeah.
not just going to keep, like spinning my wheels doing things. Like, no, I'm going to do one opt-in. I'm going to
Mhm.
track it. I'm going to see how well that does. I'm going to see how many people come to my email list. I'm going to see
Mhm.
what those people do. And, and you just become
Yeah.
so much more clear as to why you're doing something. And
Yeah.
for me, that has just made my business so much easier because I'm not just throwing spaghetti against the wall or throwing darts in the dark anymore. There's a really clear reason I'm creating one
Yeah.
opt-in or one workshop or
Yeah.
writing one email. Like there's no more just the pressure just to write emails. It's like
Mhm.
every email is very intentional. It's intentional to share a specific message that's going to hopefully encourage someone to sign up for a specific program, right? Or a specific message that's going to hopefully get someone to take some sort of action that I have intentionally thought of. So it's really helpful for me in my business, but it's also I think helpful for the way that I communicate with
Yeah.
my audience and my subscribers. It's way more thoughtful now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think a lot of my audience definitely, we have so many parents that are listening to this, but there are probably some people that don't have children or they're empty nesters. And I really believe that the more time you have, it does not make a better business. Like, I truly believe what you're saying. The more you say, I'm going to work between these hours and it's less time, you have to go, so what am I going to do? So a lot of my
Yes.
calendar might be loaded with certain things that I find to be a priority. And I may only have 2 hours left in the day to do something, but I pick the biggest and best use of my time when I have 2 hours because now I have 3 interviews back to back or something like that.
Yes.
So
Oh my
I want to
gosh.
caution everybody because I will ask this question on my webinar of like, how many hours are you working? And it's so sad when I see 60 hours, 70 hours, 100 hours. Like, I still don't even know how it's possible to work 100 hours. Like, when are you sleeping? When are you eating? Right. But I do believe people are doing it. And I want you to hear exactly what Kelsey is saying. And hopefully you've heard me bring up like my work schedule. It's not the more you work, the more money you make. In fact, I've seen it be the less money you make and the more stressed out you are.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, because that's the inverse, right? Is that you
Mhm.
have to have the energy to be able to do what you're doing because a lot of
Yeah.
times as entrepreneurs or as business owners like we're putting ourselves out there, we're being
Yeah.
vulnerable. Like it is emotionally taxing to do what we do. We don't get to just check in, check out. Like we don't
Yes.
get to just show up. Somebody else is the boss, they make the decisions, right? Like no, like there's so much more pressure on us.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you are not burning yourself out. You are not like burning the midnight oil. You have to be doing things that are fun and filling up your cup so that
Yeah.
when you then go to be vulnerable and put out a podcast or reach out to someone to see if they want to be a client, like your cup is full. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I can do this. Like I can put myself out there. But if you've been running ragged for 100 hours and then you expect yourself to put yourself out there like that, I just think that that's recipe for like
Yeah.
lack of joy,
Yeah.
like
Well, and
mm,
I think it's usually what gets people to say, I can't do this anymore because they just burn out of working the 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And by the time they finally come to get help, not that it's too late, they're just so exhausted even trying to implement certain things. So we've got to cut those hours back to even give them time to breathe, right?
Yes.
Now,
oh my gosh.
baby number 3 is here. You just came off of maternity leave, but what does maternity leave? I mean, it looks different for every entrepreneur. What did it look like for you with baby number 3?
Oh my gosh, such a good question, because I remember going into maternity leave and just like asking every entrepreneur I
Yeah.
knew, like, what did yours look like? And what did yours look like? Because like some people are like, oh, I had none.
Yeah.
And other people are like, oh, I took 6 months off. And so it does look different for everybody,
Yeah.
right? So for me, I really focused on batching all of the things that were hard for me, that I knew I wasn't going to be able to put all my heart and like vulnerability and brain power towards while having the new baby, right? So any content I needed to create, so I batched a ton of podcasts, right? Like
how many weeks would you say you try to batch? What was your goal?
So I mean, oh my gosh, if I could batch a whole year, that would be the dream. I mean, that like when you talk to me in 6 months, Stacey asked me, so how's your batching dreams going, Kelsey? Because
I love it.
I would love to batch out that much, but I probably batched about 6 months of podcasts, right?
So 6 months where baby's here, maybe a little before baby came, just in case. Yes. And then, okay, now you've got time to rest. Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. No. So I batched about, I gave myself about 2 months, I think, before baby, and then 4 months after baby.
Super smart.
Right?
Cause people just assume, oh, my due date is this date. And then you're 3 weeks early or 4 weeks early or 6 weeks early. You just don't know.
Right. And for me, it wasn't even about being early, because none of my kids were early, and I had a C-section for all of them. But I wanted to enjoy the last few months. And also I know they're hard. Like you're walking around and you feel uncomfortable, and it was going to be in the summer, and it was also summertime, which I don't like to have a heavy schedule, because I want to hang with my kids and stuff like that. So I really wanted to not work a lot in July and August. And so I batched out as many podcasts as I possibly could. I batched out almost all of my emails as well. So and that would be probably 1 to 2 emails. Actually did like an affiliate launch in September. And I did honestly about 25 emails for that affiliate launch. I batched all of those ahead of time. So those were all written in June-ish. And then I wrote all of my emails for just my weekly emails talking about the podcast. So, but those are the things that take brain power. Yeah. Like that's like, if I'm going to sit down and write my emails, or I'm going to record a podcast, like there's no one else who can record the podcast. It's me. Right. So it's like, so those things I batched out. I took about 2 months off of calls. Well, I guess 3 months, because I took August, I wanted that last month really clean to just chill with my kiddos. And then September and October, I think I took off of calls. And then I only do calls 1 day a week. So I only do calls on Wednesdays. And it's really just with I have 2 programs, right? I have a mastermind program, which is like my high-end people that are working on their coaching business. And then I have more of a starter program, which is the Coaches Incubator. And that's like people that are just getting into coaching. And I show up for that 1 hour. I do live coaching calls for that.
So when did you jump in for the first time? How many weeks were you gone?
I want to say altogether, I was probably didn't do calls at all for maybe 8 to 10 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I want to ask, what was the first time you did jump in, even if it was like checking an email or doing something just because baby was sleeping?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think maybe I fully shut off for the first couple weeks. But even like, I had baby in September, and I ran an affiliate launch for Amy Porterfield's DCA, and I had all my emails running for that. So I have an amazing team and a wonderful assistant, and they were checking everything. And so they would update me on Slack. So I don't think that cart opened till probably about 3 weeks after baby was born.
But like you were at least like doing something. You weren't like, see you later, business, I'll come back in 3-6 months. So you had a couple like random things you're saying.
I mean, I would have my assistant Slack me. She'd send me a Slack message with like updates of like, hey, this many people signed up for this. this, or this is going on over here. There were specific things I didn't want to see any of. Like I turned off my Voxer.
Yeah. Okay.
I never checked my email, but that's also because I have an assistant
Correct.
who manages my email, but I didn't
Yeah.
want to get into my email at all.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
And
so
I
I
think people
definitely
need to
create a
hear,
boundary.
yeah, people need to hear with a team, you can do a lot more than without a team,
Oh
right?
my gosh.
With
Yes.
people you trust, you didn't have to jump back in because you trusted the girl in your inbox.
Yes.
If you have the wrong person, you're going to be in there micromanaging because you're going to be so nervous.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, each baby was different. I think first baby, I just had one-on-one clients. So it was way easier business. I was making probably a fraction of what I'm making now, but it was just like, 10 one-on-one clients. And I was like, hey, I'm taking 3 months off. I'll see you in 3 months. So I didn't have to worry about anything. I didn't have an email list. I didn't, none of that was working. But baby two, I had my email list going. I had passive income. I was probably making 4 times the amount of money. Right. So it was kind of like, I realized with baby two, I had a little bit of a team, but not as well trained as it was this time. And this time it was such a beautiful maternity leave because I had a team in there. They were supported. We had talked about the plan for a while. And I was also taking a dip in income, right? Like I knew that I was going to be paying them a couple months where I wasn't going to be pushing or promoting
getting certain things.
Now it wasn't crickets. It wasn't crickets. I was still doing a small affiliate launch. I still had small evergreen programs, but there's no big pushes. There's no big cash injections happening until, like I came back in.
And that's just the beauty of you get to decide, right? Before I asked you this question, I had said it off air because I didn't want to just like, hey, I'm going to throw this at you. And I wanted you to know, like, there's truly no right or wrong answer. And I want everybody to hear that too. Like the way you decided to do it was perfect for you. And whatever way they decide to do it, it's okay. Right. And here's the thing, you might have to jump back into work faster and not want to, and just let that be, in the moment you have to do it, but let that be the opportunity to say, okay, I don't want to do this again. I want to make sure that this is set up and systematized and organized. Like you said, I can slow down in summer and I can do this with the kids and all of that. So it's just so good to hear, like, it's fresh for you. I wanted to hear like what that looked like and all of that. What do you think for 2023, as you head into this year, what is something that you would like to see yourself with growth, like personally, professionally, like what is something you're thinking about for this year?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. I feel like I could just chat to you forever, Stacey. I feel like these are such good questions. And this year, what I really want to focus on doing is just having the 2 offers. And I feel very excited about simplifying the business. I feel like very lucky that I'm at a place where I can do that. But one of them is like my high-end mastermind, which I was able to like double the price. And it's a year-long program instead of 6 months. And so it's smaller, it's more intimate. And it's a more committed vibe, right? So I'm super pumped about that. And it's evergreen. It's open each month. I open one more spot for one other person, where before it was launch based and it was a 6-month program. Now I'm loving, and I'm so excited
just
about
restructured for the way your lifestyle is now.
Exactly. Yes. And so, and then the second program is like that more introductory program, the Coaches Incubator, for people that want to they're just starting their coaching business, or they're just thinking about becoming a coach. And that is built on an evergreen funnel right now. And I really want to just lean into that because I love showing up for those calls. I love those conversations. But I can only do it at that level with those folks if it's really, really well structured, right? Like the content in that program is fantastic. But if I don't structure it really well and I'm not really smart about evergreening that program, I can't show up live for those calls. And so this year I'm prioritizing showing up live for those calls and making sure every month I show up a couple times because I love supporting that group. But it has to be structured. Like I have like on the the back end, right? Like I have to have this evergreen funnel really
Mhm.
automated and systematized in order for me to have the time to do that. And
Yeah.
so we're really cleaning up the back end, the email sequences, the funnel, the Facebook ads that go to it. And I love it. I love
Yeah.
nerding out about that. I love
Yeah.
seeing the numbers. I love seeing the stats, like the conversions, like watching those just chunk higher and higher. It's fun for me. Like I love that I'm at that stage of the business. It's really a
Yeah.
cool place, you
Well,
know?
and I love hearing you say, like, I like tracking, I like watching. I think some people are going to hear this and think, I hate doing all of that. And in the beginning, you don't love it because the numbers aren't that great. You're like,
No.
right. But as you watch the not great numbers, what you watch will grow. And as it grows, it's fun to look at numbers because it's fun to like, it's fun to open up like a report card and see A plus, A plus, A plus, right? It's not fun when it's like, you're getting in trouble and there's D's and there's F's. And I think you have to get through that phase of tracking, even when it's not great, to get to the other side of you saying, I love what's happening, but you're also saying we're scaling, we're growing, and you're in a
Yes.
phase where this is also really crucial for people to hear. As you've scaled, it's not about adding more this year. You said clean up. It's about kind of
Yes.
condensing, simplifying.
100%.
But with
Yes.
that is going to come massive growth because when you simplify, you can like really hyper focus.
100%.
So good.
Yeah.
Kelsey, I could talk to you all day. This is so good. Tell me, where can people find you, find more about you, just all the places you hang out on social?
Yeah. So I would say they could go to kelseymurphy.com. That's probably the best place to find all these things I'm talking about, freebies, opt-ins, different ways to connect. And then, I mean, they can come find me on my podcast, the Whiskey and Work podcast, which you have been a guest
Yes.
on. We've had wonderful people like Marie
I
Forleo,
was gonna
Amy
say, you said to
Porterfield's
me,
all on
you're
there.
you're right after Marie Forleo and right before Amy Porterfield. And I was like, oh, that is a perfect, I like being right there. So thanks for that. Yes, go check out Kelsey's podcast. She has incredible guests on her show. Thank you so much for being here. This has been so fun catching up. And definitely go check out kelseymurphy.com.
Thanks, Stacy.